that took longer than necessary. And hopefully this keeps recording. So anyways, obviously the title says it all, what this video is going to be about. I basically kind of like have been wanting to talk about this, mostly because I keep getting like messages on Tumblr about girls who are asking me about like tips to like keep your hijab on, or tips when you're struggling with the hijab. And honestly, like if you've been following me for quite some time, you'll know that I've been seriously considering taking it off, but I've decided not to. And I thought I'd make a video talking about how, like, what my thought process was and how I came to the decision to stick with the hijab. And alhamdulillah that I decided this, but it wasn't easy. It was really, really hard. I wasn't at a good place at all. So yeah, and this is by no means like a preachy video. I'm just talking about my experience, what I felt, and all that jazz. So yeah, this video is for anybody who has recently felt like the hijab has become kind of a burden, kind of like a chore, something you initially loved and were really happy to take on. You were enthusiastic about it and you loved it so much, but now it's just becoming really hard to like have that initial love for it that you had. Like you wake up and it's just kind of annoying having to put it on, and you feel really crappy about yourself because of the way you're looking, and you never used to care about how you looked and now you do, and it's just really overwhelming. And it's just on top of life's other crap that it throws on you, the struggle with this just makes it worse. So if you're feeling kind of uncertain about the hijab and you're thinking of taking it off, hopefully you won't after this video. So yeah, that's what I'm making this for. One of the things I told myself over and over again when I was going through this whole struggle with the hijab, I had to really remind myself that basically struggle is a part of life and tests are a part of life, and the best people are tested. The prophets were tested, and then like the best people after the prophets were tested. So it is a part of life. Our faith goes up and down. That's also a natural tendency for every individual. It's not like you're going to be completely at like a high and then either completely at a low. Sometimes you can be in between. So it does vary, and this isn't something that just happened. You don't just wake up feeling like crap and feeling like this thing that you used to love is kind of annoying now. You don't just wake up and have that mindset. So I kind of wanted to understand how I came to hate basically the hijab and why. And I wanted to not hate it because I love it. The reason I wore it was because I wanted to get closer to Allah, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I think I wore it like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's still one of the best decisions I've ever made. And something that helped me get through that, the idea of that it's okay that this is happening to a certain extent, was the fact that the Prophet ﷺ talked about how, you know, like every time a believer is like going through any kind of emotional or psychological or even physical pain, it's not for like no reason. You know, obviously it's happening by the will of Allah, and it's every time you feel that and you feel bad and you feel down and sad and like psychologically you're just like in turmoil because you're thinking of all these things, and so it's kind of like physical pain. You're getting atoned for your sins, you know, it's a way of purification from Allah. So it's not for no reason. And I know we're taught to see struggles and pain and suffering and like basically like cognitive dissonance. We're taught to see that as something negative, because initially it does seem negative because we can't understand why it's happening. It's out of our control, but it is a means of purification. Struggles are only there to teach us something about ourselves, to make us more aware of something. So take them with open arms, even though it sucks. Like I had to get to that point and just be like, okay, so this is happening and it's okay and it's happening for a reason. Let's go from there. So that's the first thing. The second thing I started noticing was the fact that and this is something you have to be careful about, especially when it comes to the hijab, you should try not to project your frustrations with like other things in your life, with the people in your life, relationships, friendships, work, school, stress, any other type of thing. Don't project those frustrations onto the hijab, because the thing is, we're humans and we like control in our life, and we can't necessarily control our interpersonal like contacts with people, our like sometimes stress, just you can't control stress. But you can control certain things in your life. I can control whether or not I wear this. Like, nobody's forcing me to wear this. I chose to wear this. I can technically just stop wearing it whenever I want. I don't need to like keep wearing it, but I do. And sometimes we project our annoyances and frustrations with things we can't control onto things we can control. So the hijab gets all our crappy feels. And sometimes it's not fair, and we don't think about it like that, because we think, oh, life's too like life's too stressful, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not like downplaying the fact that life does get stressful. I understand, like I've been going through a lot of crap recently, but I'm just saying, be careful not to just don't like misunderstand where that stress is coming from, and don't mix up the sources of the stress. Because what I ended up learning was that I was having trouble with the friends in my life, certain people in my life, and I wanted to control certain aspects of my friendships and relationships, and I couldn't. And I felt kind of torn between the fact that I wanted one thing, I was getting another thing from people, and I didn't like that, and my head was like making all sorts of analogies and crap and whatever. So it was kind of becoming overwhelming for me. And then I was like unconsciously almost projecting that annoyance onto my scarf. So I'd just be like annoyed, like why do I need to wear this? Really, like it's just making life harder. I don't like the way I'm perceived in it. Like maybe if I take it off, like it would, I don't know, I'd have one less thing to worry about, kind of thing. So I would definitely project my frustrations with other things onto the scarf. That's the second thing you want to keep in mind. And if you're doing it, just now you know you're doing it. Another thing to keep in mind is the obvious benefits of wearing the scarf. And to every girl it's different, whatever, but to me, I realized quite quickly after being in this state of frustration, I realized that we are basically like sponges. And I always say this, we're like sponges, okay? We take in everything that people say, people do, the way people look at us, the way we interact with people, everything. We take that in, and whether we know it or not, we just absorb it all. It goes into our system, and that's how one day you realize like I feel weird, like somehow it's all of a sudden just too much for me, and it's because we tend to absorb things and unknowingly push them down until we just push them down because we don't want to deal with them, and then they start coming up and seeping through the surface, and you're like, oh crap, I don't want to deal with this. So you keep pushing it down, but it has to come up sometime, and you have to deal with that. All those things you push down start resurfacing. Sometimes it's hard to make sense of that, and we look for temporary relief from those things, because in this life we have been reinforced time and time again it's all about instant gratification, instant relief from suffering. It's all about like now, I need everything to be fixed and sorted out now and whatever. Wow, I just realized my cardigan was falling off. That is so awkward. This is why I don't make videos. Everything's all about instant gratification, instant. So when we start feeling those things coming back up, we want to control that just straight away, whether that means looking at other parts of our life and how we can control those parts, and maybe we'll be able to control other parts, or whether it's just like getting rid of one part of your life and then maybe that'll benefit the other part of your life. So that's what I think I was doing, and one of my friends told me, Menial, she told me that I was basically trying to control parts of my life that I couldn't control, and I was trying to do that through taking off my scarf, because I thought that if I took my scarf off, I would have less to worry about, you know. I wouldn't wake up and feel annoyed that I had to put it on. I wouldn't go outside and like feel different. And even though I was used to feeling different, I never had a problem with it before. Maybe I did have a problem with it, and maybe I wasn't acknowledging the fact that I had a problem with it, and I do. So maybe that would stop. And maybe if I took my scarf off, I don't know, I'd get approached by certain people more often. Maybe I'd seem a certain way to other people. Maybe I'd like come across as different to other people, come across as better or something. Like all these things were going through my head, and it was all because of other things in my life. And I wasn't coming to grips with the other things in my life that were causing me to feel like this, that were making me feel annoyed with my hijab, when really the only thing keeping me from actually like plummeting completely into God knows whatever stress I was in. It is hard, and it took me a long time to realize that my problem wasn't with the hijab, it was with everything else in my life, and it was with the people in my life, and my like schedule and my habits in life. It wasn't the scarf. Because why I had to remind myself why I wore it in the first place, and that helps, reminding and asking yourself why you wore it in the first place. Most of us, we wore it because we were at a place where we wanted to get closer to Allah, and we knew that He asked us to cover. So we decided that, you know, we're gonna obey Allah, we're gonna obey our Creator in the hopes that we please Him. And inshallah we do. In a world where it's just so like not normal, it's just abnormal for a girl to cover the way like hijabis cover. It's not normal. We're seen as oppressed, different, subjugated. Like, it's ridiculous. And that's the mentality that most people we interact with on a daily basis have about women who cover. So going about life with the like awareness that that's how people see you, it's hard. It's really hard. And it's hard being out in the world where you're judged straight away by the appearance, like by your appearance, by what you look like, what you're wearing, and what you choose to show. It's hard having such a like blatant first impression of someone like that in the world. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's like, I am hungry. I have to remember that every single time that I wear this, every time I wake up and feel like just I don't feel like wearing it and I feel uncomfortable wearing it, that's an emotional struggle. That's a psychological struggle. That's not happening for no reason. That's a means of purification for me. It's a means of elevation for me. It's an opportunity for me to ask myself certain questions I wouldn't normally ask. Like, where is this feeling coming from? What other parts of my life am I not focusing on? And why do I feel like this? It's a means of constantly getting closer to Allah. Like, this is basically a physical manifestation of my, like, it's just like my intention to get closer to Allah. And even there's like a hadith Qudsi that I always talk about, that basically Allah talks about, Allah says that if we go to Him, He comes to us, and if we walk to Him, He comes to us at a faster pace. And it's all about like the more effort we put into getting closer to Allah, He is already there. Like, He's constantly gonna be getting closer and closer to us the more we do too. And it's like that relationship is like amazing. Just by wearing this and going out every day, I'm not only getting so much reward, I'm getting closer to Allah, and I will feel that in like parts of my life. Because when you try and control your life and then hope that that kind of will help your faith, it's kind of like, personally for me, that didn't work. I couldn't like do it that way. I had to use my faith as the core and then work like outwards. And also, like, this life isn't perfect. It's temporary. Everything in it is the embodiment of temporary. Like, people change, situations change, everything changes. You're gonna change your mind so many times. So why are you gonna wait for like the perfect opportunity or to feel a certain perfection? It stopped recording. Sorry. And this life isn't supposed to be perfect. We shouldn't strive for perfection. We should always try to just constantly keep making an effort, and that's what I'm gonna keep doing. And I know some days it's hard, and I know some days I feel like I'm prettier without it, I feel more confident without it, that too is gonna pass. And the more comfort you feel knowing that every time you put the hijab on, the rewards you're getting every minute of the day that you wear this are just innumerable. Like, it's gonna come together and it's gonna count on the day that counts, really. You're gonna, inshallah, like what helped me was like remembering that I'm gonna have to face Allah, and I'm gonna have to be like, yeah, you know, I did wear this and I wore it for you, and it was only for you, and it sucked. Sometimes it was really hard for me, but I still tried. And I hope that that made like a difference and that it pleased you, and that's the only reason I wore it. And honestly, knowing that and keeping that in mind, that the hijab could be the difference between me getting Jannah and not, it's like a huge deal to me. And yes, it sucks. Yes, it's hard. Sometimes I don't want to wear it, and I wake up some days still thinking I don't want to wear it. But I'm going to keep pushing for it, and I'm going to keep reminding myself why I wore it, keep reminding myself of the benefits of it. I'm going to keep trying to ask myself questions and figure out, what other parts of my life am I just running away from? What are the parts of my life? Can you hear that dog? My neighbor's dog is out. It's sad because he's so cute. Like, he's such a cute little husky, but he just... Okay, I'm going to finish this video now because this dog is going crazy. Anyways, so yeah. Wait. There's two of them. That's why he's going crazy. Sorry. Anyways, now I lost my train of thought. And I'm pretty sure it was a good point. It's gone. It's just gone. Try and see what parts of your life you're running away from, that you could be facing, but really you're just confused as to the source of the stress and where that's coming from, and you're projecting it onto the hijab. Look at what you can maybe control with a little bit of effort, you know, especially if that be it relationships or friendships or school or work or anything. See where the stress is coming from and try and like fix it. Try and do your best to fix it, because we're human and we want control, and then we'll go to the ends of the earth to control it. And what made me decide to keep the hijab on was basically, I know my life is sucky right now. It is. It's really sucky, but still, alhamdulillah, I'm going to keep wearing the hijab because it's the only good thing I have going for me, really. I need it. I need the blessings and the mercy that come with wearing it, because every other part of my life is just in shambles. So if this is the one stable thing in my life, I'm totally okay with that, even if it's hard some days. And always like talk to people about it. I had to talk to my friends, and my friends, obviously my best friend, she's Muslim, but she doesn't wear the hijab. But like, she was able to like help me come to terms with this. You know, talk to people. Don't seclude yourself. Don't isolate yourself. Don't let your mind go crazy and ruminate over unnecessary things. Just even talk to me if you want. Just go to my Tumblr and inbox me. I love talking to you guys. So yeah, I need to stop making this video now because I have work and I still have to eat something. And I'm honestly not sure if this video was even helpful. Maybe it was. Maybe 2 things in it were helpful, and I think I repeated myself a lot in it, but just, I hope maybe it did help someone. And you're not the only one going through this. It does get easier. You'll start making sense of things better with time, but just constantly make dua and ask Allah for help. You know, ask Him to open your heart again to the hijab, to make these stressors easier on you, to show you like the light in your situation, because He will, and if you ask Him, He will help you. And honestly, that's all I can say. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. Okay, anyways, I think that's all I'm gonna say.